Today we're going to be talking about the Curt A20 fifth wheel hitch, and we're going to be putting it on our 2024 Ford F350. Now, it's really going to depend on what type of system you have in your bed. Now, if you already have the Ford prep package with that puck system, it's going to be super easy. It doesn't take very much time. Now, if you don't have the prep package, I'd actually recommend a different one, the one that has the rails on the bottom, so it will be compatible. But that's what I really like about this one. If you do have that puck system, you might as well use it. And just overall, this is going to be easy to work with. So let's take a closer look at it. And if you do decide to go with this one, let us know what your experience is like in a comment or review below, just to let us know how it's working for you, either on just your regular hauling days or even just moving around from your bed to keeping it in here. Now, something else to think about is what type of bed you have. So today we have a 8-foot bed, and this is going to be perfect. Now, if you have a shorter bed like 6 3/4, I'd actually recommend you going it with something more of a sliding type of fifth wheel. Reason why I recommend that is because when you're making those turns, your trailer is more likely of making contact with the cab of your truck and damaging something. But for those 8-foot beds, you really don't have to worry about that for the most part. But let's start with those specs. So this is going to have a weight capacity of 20,000 pounds for your towing capacity. So that's what's being pulled behind you. And then it's going to have a vertical capacity right on the fifth wheel of 5,000 pounds. The difference there is one's the 20,000 pounds is what's pulling behind you. Vertical is being what's directly on top of this fifth wheel. Now, if you need something a little bit more heavy duty, then I'd actually recommend another one by Curt, and that one's actually going to be rated for 30,000 pounds. So that's going to be a pretty beefy one. But I still think this one's going to be good in most applications. Now let's kind of move over to the jaws. And this is what I really like about these. It's just that type of style. It's going to be a 2-jaw system. If I open this up and look at that a little bit more, and what's nice about this is giving us full 360 contact around our trailers that we're hauling. So you can see here, this is wrapped completely around the kingpin, and really this just instills a lot of trust, especially when you're driving down the road, you're being nice and safe. And speaking of safety, we're going to have these indicators on the back. This green is going to mean we're good to go and haul. Now, I'm just going to move this handle a little bit, and you notice we have this red indicator popping up. That means we're not ready to haul. Sometimes when you're hooking up, you can't get a good connection. This is going to let you know that it isn't a good connection. And that's one of the main features that I'm really concerned about showing today. Now let's talk about what it's going to be like to actually live with. So we need to disconnect with your trailer. Try to grab this handle. Super easy. It's also going to depend on the height of your bed or just your truck in general if you have it lifted up. This here isn't too bad at all. But you will have to remove this pin here. That can be a little bit tricky sometimes. So what I'd probably do, if I needed to, probably just stand on my tire, reach in here, and get that off. And then you can pull on here and disconnect. Another thing you want to think about with living with this is how much space it's going to take up in your bed. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is pretty compact, but it will take a little bit of height. So if we have a tonneau cover back here, it might get in the way a little bit. Now, something to consider is you can actually adjust the height of this. There are going to be these little bolt pattern on the side of here, so you can actually raise and lower this some. But right now, we have it in the tallest position. So, I'll grab my measuring tape, get that total height. That's going to be about 18 inches, which I think in most cases will clear with a tonneau cover. And now if you have one that sits in your bed, it might get a little bit close. So in those situations, you might want to take this head off. This head is actually pretty easy to take off. All I have to do is remove a pin from the back side, grab this larger pin, this will come off. Now the head sometimes can be a little bit tricky to remove just because we have these rubber bushings on the inside. They give us great grip. That's something else you'll notice with this. This has a ton of movement with it. I know I moved the pin some, but even without that, this head moves a lot, which is great because this is going to give you a better, smooth ride when you are on the road. But all I have to do here is just remove this. Again, I have to just wiggle it some. I have to just go back and forth. It'll come right out. And this is going to be much lighter than having to remove the whole fifth wheel itself. And with the head removed, we can get the total height now. This is going to be sitting a little bit over 12.5 inches, so that's going to save you a lot of space with the head gone. But there's going to be some cases where you need the bed completely clear so you can do your truck things. Where you're hauling some lumber, tools, whatever it be, you will be able to take this out. All you have to do is come over here, pull this pin. There we go. With that pin removed, these are super smooth to move. Doesn't bite you too much. You get that done on both sides. All you have to do from this point is lift up on it. Now this can be a little bit heavy sometimes, but this is still very manageable to do by yourself too. And we get it all put back together. Again, still getting plenty of movement from that head. But overall, I think this is a solid choice, especially if you are looking for something that's going to be relatively compact, not going to take a whole lot of space in your bed. That's really going to be any of the fifth wheels designed to work with your buck system. But this one in general is still just easy to work with. And it's going to have a lot of movement and just offer you a smooth ride. But that'll do it for our look at some of the features of the Curt A20 fifth wheel hitch. Again, if you do have any comments, questions, or concerns, let us know at etrailer, but that's just a look at it on our 2024 Ford F350. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.